On this episode of Nugget Project, we're cleaning up our old fuel tank and swapping out the junky old fuel pump for a brand new one. Welcome back, friends. So while I'm doing the rust repairs on the MR2, that is a video that is going to take a long time. I'm filming a couple of these videos in the meantime, so we're getting some other stuff prepared. So once this car is ready to go, we can paint it and then start slapping everything together, however long that takes. So one of the things I do need to do is fix up the fuel tank. So this is the fuel tank out of an AW11. Look at this guy. How weird. So to get a good weight balance from this car, this thing actually sits in what essentially would be the trans tunnel if it was a front engine rear wheel drive car. So you've got the tunnel in the middle, usually where your gearbox and your shifter and everything would be. But obviously in this car, being rear engine and rear box, it's just got a cable shifter, and then that tunnel itself is filled up with this, which means the weight is kept in the middle and down low. So it's a cool design, but it's a funky looking fuel tank. So anyway, this is obviously the original one from the car, and I have had a look inside it. So I got a light and had a look in all the little ports, and even though there is the tank itself actually looks pretty good, but there is baffles. Obviously, because it's long, they don't want the fuel sloshing up and down when you're accelerating and braking. There's three metal baffles that stops that fuel sloshing around, and they do have some surface rust on it. So not ideal, but it is what it is. So what I want to do is I do have some rust treatment. So I want to fill this tank up with some rust treatment, give it a good swish around, try and get all that rust off and get it nice and cleaned out. So we'll get onto that soon. The last owner did tape up all the ports with tape, which the old fuel has really grossed up all the tape, but that's okay. We'll get all that off and give it all a clean up, but at least there was no animals living inside this tank in the interim. Yuck. Okay, the next thing we need to do is our fuel pump. So I don't believe this is a factory fuel pump. It might be, I don't know. Please tell me, MR2 gurus, if it is. But it does need to be replaced. It's very old. These pumps are notorious for dying, and I'd just like to put a fresh pump in there. So we're just starting fresh, because to get this tank out is a pain in the ass once the car's back together. So let's just do everything now. Now you can see the hanger does look pretty funky. It does have some surface rust and scaling. So I think what we'll do is we'll take the pump off, we'll clean it up, we'll take off this little gasket, and we'll put it in the sandblaster, and we'll try and sandblast a lot of this off, if it fits, just because these pipes are quite long. I'm not actually a massive fan of the sandblaster. I've obviously got one next door. It's a slow process. It's good for finicky areas like in here, which we will have to use it. But if you've got a surface that you can easily access, just use one of those stripper pads, the paint stripper pads that come on the grinder. They're so much better. And then second to that, a wire wheel on a drill is just so much better than the sandblaster. It's so much quicker, and I think it does just as good a job. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of sandblasters. I think they're just slower and a bit crappy. So anyway, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna replace that with this brand new unit from our friends at Raceworks and PAT, Premier Auto Trader. So I actually hit up our friend Jamie from PAT and said, dude, what's the chances of getting a pump for this? And he goes, leave it with me. Actually took him a while to track this down because they don't make them anymore. So this is actually a Denso Japanese made pump for this car, which is very cool. And he said that, yeah, they don't make them anymore. So he tracked down two of them and he gave me two, just in case one of them dies. I've got a spare for the future. So that is very nice of him. And yes, thank you very much to Jamie and the team at Raceworks and PAT. So yeah, this is a replacement, and it should just be a direct bolt-in, which is fantastic. It's the same size and everything. And in the box, it also comes with a replacement, the transfer pipe. It's got the little bung on the end to make it fit into that housing, and obviously a new filter, fuel filter for the pump. Then obviously you have your main fuel filter further down the line. But that's very cool. So thank you once again to the team at Raceworks and PAT. Very exciting. So I think the first thing we'll do is we'll get some rust treatment in this thing. and we'll get that soaking and get that nice and clean, and then we'll take this apart and clean this up and get it ready for its new pump. Okie dokie, so I've re-taped up all the holes bar one, and we're going to put some gloves on because this stuff is pretty toxic, and we will take it outside to swish it around. But I got some Rust-Oleum Rust Dissolver. So apparently this stuff's pretty good. Pretty much put it in there. I'm going to swish it around and then just let it sit there for a while. Hopefully that'll get rid of all the rust and all the crap. And then we'll tip it out responsibly. And then, yeah, we'll go again, probably round two. So let's pour it in and see what happens. There's also something loose in this tank, so I'm gonna have to figure out what the hell that is. Here goes. Whew. All right. Let's leave that to soak for a bit and we'll keep rotating it. And in the meantime, let's go and change out this pump. Okay, so let's get this puppy apart so we can sandblast it. Just a bit of a heave-ho, there we go. Get off, we just need to disconnect the wires. As much as I don't like using adjustables, this is one of those times. There we go. One pump off. We'll pop the hose off. And go put it in the sandblaster. There we go. Yep, that pipe could definitely do with being changed. Just this gasket's actually in pretty good nick, so we'll just pop that off. There we go. All right, now we can go and give this a clean up. She's pretty manky. Okay, compressor is on over there. As you can hear, it's got connectors that are leaking and all sorts of stuff. This thing keeps clogging up, so as I said, this isn't my favorite scenario, but we're going to try and clean this thing up the best we can. Let's give it a go. All right. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, nice. So we'll try and focus on that. You see there, it's got rid of a lot of that surface rust, which is great. You look at the other side that I haven't done yet, and how crappy that looks. And this side is looking pretty good. So we'll keep going. It's very hard to see. My screen's a bit crappy, but yeah, definitely an improvement. Sweet. Bit of missioning later. These things don't fully seal either, so you end up with shit everywhere. But that definitely looks a lot better. Much better does that look than the old rusty piece. It's great. So we'll give that all a wipe down. Obviously we need to blow out those pipes because we probably got sand in the fuel lines. So obviously we need to make sure that's nice and clean before anybody goes yelling at me about using a sandblaster on this. So we'll give that a clean up and put it back together. Cool, I've gone and switched the tank around a bunch more and we'll drain that soon. But in the meantime, we can put together our new pump assembly. So I blew air through the lines and I also ran brake cleaner through the lines, flushed them all out. They're all good, there's nothing in there. So we're good to go. So first thing we need to do is we'll pull open all the parts for our pump. Where's the rest of it? So we've got our filter and our adapter and all that sort of stuff, and we'll slap it together. Okay, so we've got our new Denso pump here, which is awesome. So we're going to put all that together. Here's my poor GoPro that was in the sandblasting cabinet. The lens is now a bit sandblasted, but I've got the good one here. This one's looking pretty haggard anyway. All right, so what we need to do is put the filter and this little guy on the bottom. So here's our filter. And here's our little bag of goodies. Let's have a look and see what's in here. Oh, cool. Oh, it comes with new nuts and bolts and new hoses and new clamps. Good stuff. Well, we'll get rid of all that old junk then. Okay, and we've got our old hose there so we can cut that to length so we know the size. Okay, pop him on there. There we go. And then little lock spring. Want to put the teeth at the top. So get that wiggled all the way down. There we go. Without stabbing myself again like I did yesterday. So that's on, so that's our filter, and then we have our rubber thingy that helps it sit in the hanger properly. So that just goes on there. And then on the top, we've got our, so we can put our hose clamps down there, ready to go. We just need to cut our hose to length. So, since this pump is exactly the same dimensions, we can cut the hose exactly the same length. Perfect. About yay. Now just bear in mind, and this isn't a Raceworks thing, this is pretty much every company. If you are running E85 in your car, this little hose that comes with your pump usually is not submersible E85 hose. All the factory pumps just come with standard, like normal 98 capable hose. So if you are running E85, make sure you get some submersible, has to be a submersible E85 hose, not just E85 compatible, because it has to be, the outside and the inside has to be E85 compatible. So just a word to the wise. All right, pop him on there. On the pump it says positive and negative. So we know that's our positive, and obviously the negative is the one that's on the chassis. So we might put the negative on now because it's hard to reach once it's on the hanger. Now you can push that hose on. Just want to push it on enough so you've got some resistance. Squish this guy in. Ow. Like that. Perfect. Now we can run our hose clamps up. You guys can see that. Sorry, this is a terrible bit of filming, guys. There you can see that. So now we need to just bring our hose clamps up. So we just put our positive wire on. Little spring washer and the new shiny nut. Also, I did clean up the terminals with some sandpaper, some emery paper, just to make sure they're all happy and good. Oh, almost forgot our gasket, so we'll slide that back on. And I think when this goes in the tank, I'm going to use some fuel safe sealant as well, just to make sure it all stays in there happy. Okay, so I've been rotating this thing and getting all switched around. So now it's time to empty it out. Hopefully it's gotten rid of some of that surface rust in there. Oh yes. Oh yuckies. Oh wow. That is feral. Yeah, nice. I can see one of the baffles in there and it actually looks way cleaner. So that's great. So we might just do another go. Yuck. Check that out. It's pretty gross. Okay, so there we go. We have our hanger all cleaned up, nice and newish looking. Got all the lines cleaned out, and we have our brand new fuel pump in there from PAT, Denso pump, Japanese one. Mwah. So thank you so much to the guys from PAT. Also, while I was filming this video, I got a delivery from PAT for one of these. So this is a new throttle position sensor for the 4AGE. We can see that. So very cool. The one on my engine is cracked, all the plastic's cracked. And yeah, look, as you would have seen in the last video with electrical wiring issues, I don't want any more issues on this car. So anything like that that can cause trouble, let's replace it with a new one. So thank you so much to PAT and Raceworks. Grab one of their catalogs, definitely worth a look. Where are they? Here we go. Grab the PAT catalog, and they've got a new one coming out soon, and there might be a Nugget in there. Very exciting. So, yep, grab one of those. That's the Raceworks one, so that's their performance catalog that has all their Raceworks parts, and Raceworks stuff is really cool. So, check that out. If you're ever at Motorex or one of the trade shows, grab one of those catalogs. It's good to have in your garage, and you can look at all the different sizing and all that sort of stuff. While we're talking about parts, any of you XL guys, I'm doing bunches of brake ducts at the moment. So these are the 76mm brake ducts, are probably my most popular size. So that's the outlet size there. These are going off to South Australia. I've got another set here. This is a 80mm with obviously the bigger 80mm outlet. These are going off to Queensland. They usually run a bigger duct because, you know, it's hot up there. I can also do 52mm and 64mm, I believe. I have to double check on the 52mm, but the smaller sizes do really well, say in Victoria and Tassie. You know, it's pretty cool down there, so they run a smaller ducting size. And lastly, I've got my roll cage vents here. So these guys here, they go up on the roll cage. You need, I think it's a 35mm gap in between your top bar of your cage and the roof, and you can curl that in there, run your ducting off to your NACA duct in your window, and that keeps you cool. I've got one in my car, unreal. And if you need a NACA duct for your window, hit up my mate Aaron Semler. He's doing the window insert kits. So you would have seen I did the polycarbonate window insert with the NACA duct and stuff. He's doing the whole kit, so literally, and the rubber and everything. So you just buy that from him and you just put it in, wind your window up, it's done. And then get one of those and a bit of tubing and you're cool in summer. So yeah, definitely check out Aaron Semler, just Facebook him, or I'll put a link in the description. You can go and see him about that. But anyway, there we go. There's one more step done on the AW11. I'm going to leave the fuel tank outside in the sun, let all the stuff inside, all the junk evaporate, all the water, because I did give it a hose out afterwards after doing the treatment. So I'm going to let all that evaporate because it's a nice hot day. And yeah, we'll move on to the next thing. Probably more rust repairs, but there'll probably be another couple of videos in between before the rust repair video comes out. Anyway, thanks for watching guys, I really appreciate it. We'll see you in the next video.